The fog sets in.
Alright, as soon as I land on the coast, the rant will begin. Because I could talk while I'm doing gameplay, but now I'm gonna just sit right here. Perfect. Right where it needs to be. Okay, what can I possibly rant about when it comes to Realm Royale? The 5 different classes. And I guess since I'm the assassin, I think I'll start with him first. About what he used to be and what he is now. I mean, it's great that he has a better bomb control now. Even though that stuff used to activate much faster. And concussion grenades so much faster. Like, I think the state of the game, if it was before it came to this, was better. Really. I mean, we still had turds. I mean, the hunters are probably suffering the most compared to everyone else. I mean...
we lost one.
Somebody died. Okay, where was I going about this? Let's see. Assassin. What did the assassin have to offer? Sure, it had its sniper rifle. Sure, it had its crappy heirloom rifle. And I think it had like a shredder or something like that, which was kind of like, couldn't do headshot damage. It was basically a meh weapon. If you had to. Like a middle ground. You would use it over the heirloom rifle because it was just too slow. Well, heirloom was too slow. Now the heirloom is back at the speed it used to be. That quick rapid fire gameplay. Just their guns are a bit better. Sniper rifle, I don't know, it just doesn't hit as hard as it used to anymore. Or did it? It was always hitting for over 1,000 damage. And it had really good headshot multipliers. Back in the day. We can increase it by so much. And then anyone can use the sniper rifle. It was great. Absolutely great it was. But I think it's just this whole class-based system. And locking abilities away for certain classes. I mean, obviously restricting freedom and stuff like that. It's like, come on, guys. Sure, we have some other abilities we can use that are just for anyone, but come on. Where's our Soul Gus? Where's our Skull of Chaos? Those moves were important. And honestly, when it comes to the assassin, it's just like, what else do we have? We don't really have anybody to use. Everyone uses the engineer. Specifically. Matter of fact, I think I'll make an exception today. I really want to talk about the classes a bit more in detail, but I need to actually look at them one by one. That match wasn't going anywhere. Most people already know about, playing with crossplay off and just getting an easy win. That's easy. And with those constant wins, you don't really notice the problems with the game that much. Just plays like, whatever. You ain't wrong. It really is a matter of whatever. Here we go. Now let's really start off this rant. And we'll start off with the warrior for each class. Warrior's, he's different now. Slightly different. He's not as fast as he used to be with the sword. Mustard was basically my favorite weapon. I know everyone loved the axe. It was very powerful back in the day. People complained about it. But it didn't really worry me that much. Really, it was just keeping a distance from the warrior, and you'd be fine. To an extent. Not much of an issue at all. He actually had healing abilities too also, being able to heal his teammate with burst health. Which is great. Shielding shot was, it was alright. It was just a secondary ability. I mean, I'm surprised that survived the update and stuff. And the heroic leap did like about maybe 600 damage? 6 to 300 damage, I think, on a gold level. Or any level, I think. Very powerful secondary hit and stuff. Let's see what other abilities. And I'll discuss the newer abilities soon enough. It was just, I will remember back to the old days. Net shot was technically better. I mean, being able to hold a person in place was just so critical. This whole pulls your enemies to the ground thingy, I've never actually implemented it before. So if anyone wants to correct me about if it can stop people from flying, that'd be great and stuff like that. But by the time they get up in the air, they're usually down anyway. This is kind of like, what's the point? I guess you could say the healing shout got replaced with this enrage, which is a vampire type ability. I mean, I guess it's okay and stuff. It's just all the abilities that you have to switch around with now in order to make the sword work. There are just using the axe or using the newly acquired spear. That's a thing. I mean, I could use the spear. It's like the bow and arrow. It's hard, hits a bit harder, but you can use it a little bit slower than the bow and arrow. It was the class I would just go to, really. If it wasn't for the mage and being overpowered. I think that covers the warrior, really. I miss the old warrior, in a sense. I mean, I wish this move was a bit better. It could use a bigger hitbox. Maybe 3 times as big as the normal hitbox. Like instead of just a regular charge, just... Heck, they can increase the range and damage on it too also. Do a charge and you'll have like multiple people charging with you or something like that. Like in ghost form. That'd be pretty rad if they could do something like that. I think that covers him. Okay, the Huntress. Is she better? Hard to say too also. Very hard to say. She was kind of in a weird place, in my opinion. My least used character. Sure, her bow and arrow still acts the same as it always been. But then I think people have just been focusing on the nerfs on it too, also. Trap Mine is still a very good ability, as it was able to keep enemies away from you, or trap them in place, or highlight them. Like, all that stuff was great. All it does is just bounce people back down. And because of certain runes no longer being... Well, since runes are gone now these trap mines can work as to the best of their abilities. So thanks to a few nerfs in the overall game, the proximity mine is in a good place. Very good place. Which is the same thing for Blast Area. Both of these are in good places. And both of these used to be activated very frequently back in the old game. Just not with the same amount of potency. Or damage, or some people, yeah. Damage or the knockback was a bit not as good. Flare was nerfed, unfortunately. Back in the old day, you could pop Flare pretty rapidly. Maybe even 5 seconds per, yeah, like every 5 seconds you could pop a Flare. And the opponent wouldn't know if they got detected or not. Your teammates would know. It was great. It was actually really good. Dodge roll, it really didn't have much to offer, except for quick use, and that's about it. But sadly, it just didn't have anything. If it had some type of invincibility behind it, it'd be great. At least it wouldn't make the dodge roll, you know, completely garbage. In my opinion. Just offer some frames of invincibility to fix that issue. At least it'd be a good runaway tool. Well, a secondary runaway tool. And speaking of runaway tools, now the Huntress actually has a new movement ability, which is a hook shot. I mean, it's alright. You just aim in a direction, and then you fly right towards it. Problem is, you have to make sure you're looking in a good direction to begin with. And if you're trying to run away, because it really isn't a, it's more of a pursuit tool, not a runaway tool. Which is really unfortunate. And characters do need their methods of, you know, getting some space and stuff. Like, sure, I understand that it's really annoying. Is it really annoying to chase the enemy? I thought people liked the thrill of the hunt. People kind of enjoy that a lot. I've never seen anyone getting annoyed about anyone running away from a fight, really. Maybe it's happened on stream with somebody else. Somebody tell me otherwise. And crossbow was, I think it's still in the same place it's always been. It was unfortunately bad. But it had fire attack too, so it wasn't completely worthless. Not entirely. I think it was able to drop defense too also, which made up for some of its lacking in power and rapid recovery. Well, rapid reload, I should say. Like a good mid-range weapon. Wouldn't dare use it for long-range combat. So I was like, alright, fine. She was my least used character. And she's still kind of my least used character now. Well, I'll take it back. She's the fourth used character. Yeah, she's in the fourth place when it comes to which characters to use. Alright, now to really go after the assassin and its abilities. Alright, as I was saying before, the sniper is pretty much stayed in the same place as it's always been. There might have been a few perks where you could have detected the target if you landed your shot, which was very important, by the way. That means enemy, that could turn invisible, couldn't turn invisible. So, very useful. I mean, I think it'd be great if it had a second bullet to it. I mean, if they really want to help it out. You know, get that dangerous offensive pressure, but you're thinking 2,000 damage per hit, it's like, that's massive. And yes, it is massive. Why shouldn't the assassin get some love to it? I mean, you were able to give another class a huge boost, it might as well have had something. What? Pop the shot, switch to the other gun, and just finish off with the rest. You know, a Fortnite style of hitting hard first and then finishing it with a rapid fire later. And I would say the heirloom rifle could be used at any range, but it's just a good mid-range tool, to my understanding. Because the spread of the shot wasn't that bad. I mean, you could use it up close quarters if you had to. I mean, back in the old game, you could not use the heirloom rifle for, like, close quarters. It was terrible, because it shot so slow. It might have hit a little bit harder, but no one cared about that. They just missed the old heirloom rifle. So now it's good at close range and mid-range now. Alright, well, not so much, really. I mean, the bullets travel at the speed of light or anything like that. We got other bullets that do that. They travel so fast it almost seems like light speed. Alright, let's see. I would say this got... It's hard to say if this got buffed or nerfed. On one hand, it was able to use rapidly, but you couldn't bounce yourself at all. And at one point, you could bounce yourself, but you take damage, which may not seem that much to most of you, but this was abusable in team play, where you could decide how much health you had and supposedly kill yourself, and then go through the trouble of being re-revived by your teammate, distributing all of, duplicating your items that anyone could use, by the way. So, that was, I'm going to say that this is nerfed. Because even without those runes, giving you, like, knockback resistance, it's still an unfortunate nerf. That thing has to be popped much more rapidly, in my opinion. Like, the concussion grenade is just in a weird place, really. I know it's made for. It's made to knock enemies back away from you. Then you can knock yourself away back from enemies. An extra jump or something. Nothing too extreme, I guess, because it still has to... So that gives you 2 movement abilities. It's like your secondary movement ability and stuff like that, but you have to aim it. Of course, it'd be great if you just activate it prior to jumping too, also. Like, that'd be great too, also. But then you gotta aim down, run past it, then it'll explode, and then do it, the blink. I will say blink has been nerfed too, also. Blink used to have, like, a temporary shield if you chose its ability. Even though the blink was just simply outclassed by the invisibility, which could last 7 long seconds. Well, 7 up to 12 seconds depending on your perks, too. Like, I miss that old stuff. Way better. It was a good, stealth type of ability that could get away from danger and stuff. And that's just what you kind of want, really. You want to be a way to get away from danger if things get really bad. And he had that ability. And it wasn't entirely too broken. You could hear it, and if you got close enough to the target, your position would be revealed. You'd be in trouble. Where's smoke screen at? Let's see, smoke screen that's weird out down there used to have some use too, also. Used to be used much more rapidly, along with the concussion grenade. And primarily I would just use the smoke grenade a lot more. You could kind of just blanket the smoke with an area and just keep yourself invisible. I'd never used it to that extent because I had no idea the smoke screen was something that you could look through, but the enemies could not look through it. So never really gave it the chance. Never really anyone used it in combat before. It was just an unfortunate thing. Invisibility was all that really mattered. Blink, invisibility, and maybe some other ability, like a turret or something like that, just because this was what invisibility used to be. And now we get this right here. Spawns a copy of yourself that shoots at enemies and grants you brief invisibility. Now, is this really necessary? Really? Because this move could have so much more utility to it. So much more. Maybe it'd just be too hard to program it to change its weapons based on what you have to be a true decoy. Otherwise, it's just treated as a turret as far as anyone's concerned. I mean, yeah, it could be. It doesn't do enough damage for you to completely turn your attention away from it, so I guess it is a decoy. It just chips you away, which is really a shame. I mean, I don't see why it couldn't just have, like, faster shooting and being able to choose what abilities, like what type of gun you would use. Like, being converted to a shotgun blast, like, that'd be great. Really, really, really great. Just surround the enemy with. But I guess it wouldn't be a decoy, would it, huh? We just couldn't have invisibility with like 7 to 14 seconds, huh? That's way too much for the player. I just kind of miss it. He's actually just my least favorite class to use now. Because it doesn't get that anymore. He just doesn't. It's like, it's a shame, but it is what it is. So it's at 5th place. Ah yes, the mage. Before this update, it was the clearly strongest class in the entire game. It was insane. Her fire staff used to do about 500 damage per hit. And it was a triple shot, I believe, too, also. I wouldn't mind going back and look at those videos and just seeing the onslaught that the mage used to do. It was absolutely stupid. Because a common setup for most mages was to get the turret and get fortification and just fire staff with a little bit of flight. Like, that was just basically it. Anyone else could have done it, but it was just like, it was just terribly. It did too much damage. Way too much damage. Being able to turn someone into a chicken within 2 clicks, and then be able to end a chicken's life in a single click if all your shots made it. Even though the chicken used to be a little weaker too, also, that's another thing also. Like, it was absolutely crazy. And to see her now, in this weakened state, is a shame. But it is for balance, though. So what did they give the mage to fix her up? Oops. Let's see. Pick the weapons again. We have these 2 weapons now. I think she used to have 3 weapons, actually. Her ice staff is like the replacement for her old fire staff. It does a triple shot, but it's weaker. And that's really all I have to say about it. It's just a weaker, a nerfed version of her fire staff. Triple shot, and that's it. With like, what, 7 rounds or something like that? You really wouldn't be using this over a burst rifle, in my opinion. Like, whatsoever. It's just a darn shame. And then you have the fire staff, which is kind of weird. It ain't like any weapon that she's had before. I want to say it's sort of like the her old ice staff, which you could shoot a slow lob of damage that did AoE damage, which, by the way, was pretty good actually in crowds. Like, that had its use. I kind of miss that weapon, but instead we get this single shot, hard hitting damage thing, which I don't know if it even does AoE damage or something like that, but I guess it's okay for like fights where you have to poke around corners and stuff like that, where you just need to do a strong hit and a single hit while fighting behind cover and stuff. And you do have to aim with it. I mean, you have to aim with every weapon, but obviously, shooting a single shot and being able to hit all your shots can be quite stressful. It's the closest thing to high-powered damage you're ever going to get in this sort of thing. Like, the truth is that you're probably not going to ever use the ice staff. Ever. You're never going to use it. If you know what's good for you, you will never use ice staff. You'll just learn how to play fire staff so you can actually do some, consistent damage. Period. Abilities? Let's see. So, she obviously lost some abilities. Quite terrible. Very terrible. No more Soul Gust. A move that had so much utility to keep enemies off of you. Particularly the warrior. That's what it was made for, really. Of course, the runes did kind of ruin it a little bit and what its purpose was. But hey, it was for hitting targets behind walls. I mean, and that's all that really mattered. Whether it knocked them bad or not just really depends. In all honesty. Because you could pop this with a flare and just know where your target always is and just keep landing shots behind walls. It was its thing. It was the best thing ever. And truth be told, if the Solgus did come to the assassin, which I think would be a better move than the whatchamacallit, a better move than a concussion grenade, it'd probably be back in business. Really. I could see myself using it. Hitting a droid and then being able to constantly hitting targets behind walls is just, it would be so great for the assassin. It would actually be worth using. Or at least it would allow it for a better style. Let's see, I believe the fireball was something that they used to have back in the day. I've never experienced a fireball. It's basically like an arrow shot that doesn't do any knockback damage. It'll set the enemy on fire for 600 damage and then drain and stuff like that. I mean, it's like just having 2 hard hits at once. Using your fire staff and then come out with a fireball and then another fire staff or something like that. I mean, sure. I guess it'll do. Healing Flash used to be a common move that anyone could have, but now it's gone to her, so she has her healing option. Whether they heal herself or her teammates, even both abilities. Both that and Healing Station will be able to heal anybody. It's just that Healing Station is now gone towards everyone else because Healing Station used to be actually quite overpowered too also. You know, you could heal so quickly and rapidly with Healing Station. And frequently too also. It was like, my goodness, this chick was absolutely busted in every way possible. Let's see, flying used to be better too also. And you can't see it here. And about Ice Block, let's see, what did Ice Block have going for it? Nothing really. I would say the Ice Block has been buffed, as to now you can choose when you can break out of the ice. And that's really the only thing. Otherwise it's the same old ice heal. It heals you, it blocks and protects you from all harm and stuff. And it's like, alright, sure, I guess it gets the job done, I suppose. And being able to choose. It's just that sometimes you can make a mistake and completely ruin the ice block entirely. Sometimes. And you'll freeze and unfreeze. And that's the only thing though. I don't really use her. I mean, I'll probably still use her. She's still like, it's a close third place, really. Like, thanks to this 5th class, she's directly in the middle. I'll still use a warrior over her. But she's above the 2 worst classes in the game, in my opinion. So she's your middle girl. And then we have this dude right here. The problem child. Boy, when he came in, he took all the goodies. All of the goodies. He was immediately the best character in the entire game. So easy to use. So easy to troll. You know. And most people didn't care about the plasma grenade. But when he uses it, and it does about 600 damage on a clean hit, it's crazy and stuff. He's so busted. Like, honestly, I don't see why anyone would just keep constantly running engineers all the time. Like, what were the developers thinking about doing this? Like, they just wanted something to replace the mage, and yes, it does replace the mage. I mean, old mage would still would just kill this dude, in all honesty. Like, it ain't gonna compete against the old mage, but this right here in this new meta, oh my goodness. Cause it's terrible what he could do. For example, this grenade launcher. Being able to attack enemies and heal yourself, alternatively, is a crazy ability. Because it leaves your slot open for a lot of more offensive things. Since you'll have to focus on healing. That's already busted. Shock Rifle is like the, it's sorta like the Arbalist, except now it has like an even slower moving projectile that I guess can hit around fortification. To my understanding, I think I was able to get hit because it does a little bit of like AoE damage when it hits. It says it hits multiple targets, it says. According to the zooming function. I don't know about it spreading though, but it spreads when it hits. That's about it. You get a little dizzy circle around it. It's just, like I said, the fact that it can bypass fortification, it just makes it usable. But most people will dare not use it, really. No one's gonna really complain about the fact that of a grenade launcher you can use it point blank range, by the way. And that's really one of the most annoying thing about the grenade launcher. You can't damage yourself at all at close quarters. You can just pop it right on top of yourself. And that would almost fix the weapon. Almost. Like just having it at a disadvantage at super close corners and stuff like that. Like so he could damage himself and you could rack up the damage, and then, you know, like you have to play smart and stuff. That would kind of fix some of his issues. And then you have his abilities. So not only this guy gets a fantastic jump, and this rocket dash thing may not seem like much, but combining it with his already high vertical reach, with his good vertical coverage, it's a good runaway tool. Very good runaway or pursuit tool too also. Most characters, well, none of the characters can get away from this dude if he wants you dead. Period. And then there's the turret. To think they took it away from everyone else, but gave it to him. They gave it to him, and now the turret shoots faster, and it hits. Yeah, it shoots faster, and it's bulkier. It's absolutely ridiculous. This was a terrible decision to make. I can't imagine anyone not running turret. It's just one of those, you're gonna probably always run it. Because there's no reason to not run it. And it's because people are gonna just treat like they used back in the old day. You see a target, you pop turret. I mean, you may not pop fortification with turret anymore, because like I said, fortification got nerfed a little. Well, actually, was it called fortification? Fortification was a walking one, I think. As the barrier, you would just pop it right in front of you. But you still treat turret the same, just knowing that it's a lot stronger. Like, it needs to be weaker. Before, you could just take it out in, like, maybe 2 shots with a slug rifle. Or with a, like, I think it had 600 damage at most. Like, I remember hitting that thing with a sniper rifle, and it wouldn't bust. Like, that's terrible. You've got to weaken it. It's got to be half as good as it is. Half as good. Hell, it needs to act like the healing turret. That's what it needs to act. It needs to build out. And the healing turret is an interesting case. What we have here is something that can heal you or your teammates whenever it's close by. And it shoots slowly too, like how the offensive turret should be also too. I mean, I guess it's harmless, I suppose. But it does allow for a certain healing core to exist. Because imagine this. The healing station now can be used by anybody. I mean, it was always able to be used by anybody, but now it is the only other healing ability. And then you have the healing turrets, that's 2. And then you have your healing with the grenade launcher, that's 3. 3 types of healings. You know you could do some pretty funny shenanigans when you could just heal yourself so rapidly. And you might be thinking, I'll just out damage them. And like, yeah, you could. If you can land all your shots. If you don't, well, it's gonna be interesting being to go through all that and stuff. Overall, Engineer's the best character in the game. Definitely in need of nerfing. Nerf the grenade launcher, so where it hurts the player too, also if they're too close. Nerf the turret where it shoots slower and has less health. And let's see what else. Shock rifle is fine where it is. You don't see too much of it. I mean, it definitely has its use, so we can leave that alone. And I guess moving ability wise are fine. I mean, it's harmless. So those are the only two changes. Nerf turret to where it's slower and weaker, and nerf grenade launcher to where it hurts yourself. Maybe for a solid 100 damage if you're like, if it's too close to you, if you shoot yourself by accident. Because why not? You can already heal yourself, you know. And truth be told, I can see how the healing turret is just going to be completely worthless anyway. Why would you need a healing turret when you could just heal yourself as much as you want to? No cooldown, no nothing. It's great. Who needs buffs? Oh, let's say both the assassin and engineer need buffs. I just haven't said anything. Let's see. We have the... It's between the hunter and the assassin. I mean, it'd be so much easier to say that they both need buffs badly. Like they both need it. But the right side, which is assassin, needs it. They need a better invisibility situation where it lasts longer. Like it really needs to. It needs that. Then it needs I guess the guns are fine the way they are, so we'll leave them alone. Smoke grenade. I mean, hear me out here. You can have different types of smokes. A smoke for damage, that blinds your target, and a smoke for healing for your group and stuff. Like, that'd be great. And it turns you invisible. Can we get those type of smoke? A damaging, burning smoke and a freaking healing smoke? At least then I'd be more comfortable with using the assassin. Being able to pop a smoke and heal myself a little bit while still being invisible, because then you have a reason to actually be in that smoke too also. I mean, I guess you have to change the color of the smoke to know what type of smoke it is. Yeah, just get rid of smoke screen and switch it out for a healing and damaging smoke that you could throw on a target and you had to get away with. It almost be like a pseudo firebomb. You know, that'd be great. A pseudo firebomb where enemies are being choked to death and stuff like that. Be great. And that's how I would fix the assassin. Longer periods when it comes to invisibility. Maybe more damage on that on the turret portion of the decoy. Let you turret mimic the weapon that you have currently on you. In some capacity. You could probably fix it for slugs. Or it could just be like weapon compatible with certain things. If they really want to go that route. Like it'll only work for certain weapons like the slug. Maybe not for the minigun, even though that'd be pretty cool and stuff like that. And that's about it for engineer class. Well, not engineer, but the assassin class. That's in this rant. If you have any questions, you know, tell me. Otherwise, I'm done. Good night, everybody.